Howdy everybody, this is week 3 of the curriculum. We're going to go over the seated guard break, the single underhook guard pass, and the double underhook guard pass. So we'll start with the seated guard break. I'll be in my partner's closed guard. So closed guard position, my partner's got his legs wrapped around my waist and his feet are crossed behind me. I want to briefly touch on a few important postural points. If I'm in my partner's closed guard, I, as much as possible, want to have a relatively straight up and down posture. I want to sit like I'm meeting someone important that I want to impress. I don't want to slouch, okay? If I'm slouching and low, this makes it easier for my partner to break my posture, whereas if I have good posture, it's harder for my partner to pull me in, though certainly not impossible. Hand position is really important in the closed guard. There are a lot of no-nos, and I want to touch briefly on 4 of them. For the most part, I want to keep my hands on my partner's abdomen, usually on the lower half of his abdomen, and each hand kind of on its own side. So the 4 big no-nos, in my opinion, of hand position. First, I don't put my hands on the floor. I expose myself to the sit-up sweep or the Kimura, okay? Second, I don't reach much past the midline of my partner's abdomen, so about where his sternum is. I don't want to reach much deeper than that. Occasionally, you see someone brand new try to cross-collar choke their partner from the guard. It's not a cross-collar choke. It's an armbar, but for my partner, not for me. Okay, so that is the sort of thing I expose myself to when I grip too far in my partner's guard. I sort of give my partner a chance to go for that sort of armbar, pendulum sweep, that sort of thing. The next thing that I'm concerned about is my partner's spine is essentially the midline, and each arm should not cross the midline much. Okay, so again, occasional beginner error that you see is like, I'm gonna Americana him, right? And they try to Americana their partner in the closed guard, and they inevitably get their back taken. Okay, and that's because each of my hands in the closed guard essentially is defending the back take, right? If my arm is across, then the path of my back is clear, right? Whereas if my hand is here, then when Mike sits up to the back, like I have something to prevent. Okay, so my hands should not cross the center line by much. Okay, and then the last thing is I want to typically play with both hands in the closed guard or both hands out of the closed guard. Okay, I want to avoid a situation where I'm one arm in the closed guard, one arm out, because I am getting triangled. Okay, now there are some subtleties to that second position, right? Sometimes like your hand can do one thing and your elbow's doing another, and it's good enough. But we'll touch on that a little bit later, and for the most part, as a beginner, the best rule is just 2 arms in or 2 arms out will keep you safe, okay? So first we're gonna look at the basic seated guard break, okay? Okay, so in the basic seated guard break, I'm gonna make a double lapel grip right below my partner's sternum. I'm gonna tighten the gi as much as possible, so if my partner's gi is loose, I might even roll it before I grip it, and this way it doesn't slide around too much. Okay, my hand should be like just below his sternum. I can actually feel his the lower ribs here. Okay, my arm is extended. I'm not necessarily locking my arm out here, but my elbow needs to be tight so that if my partner goes to pull me into him, okay, with his legs, or sit up into me, like this is strong enough to resist it. If I'm like totally loosey-goosey, then I get pulled in and my posture gets broken. Okay, so I'm making a strong arm. My second hand, I like to grip the pants. Sometimes there's a label at the pants, but basically where my fingers could almost like knock on my partner's hip bone. Okay, so hands are on the pants and my elbow tucks inside. You can, in a pinch, grab either the belt or the skirt of the gi, but the pants are kind of the best option here because they slide around the least. Okay, so the pants and then elbow inside. Okay, and this elbow is kind of bracing against my partner's thighs. Okay, and in this posture, even if my partner tries to spin for an armbar or shoot a triangle, I'm fairly protected because like I can drop my elbow and stop my partner from spinning. Okay, he can't attack terribly effectively from here. Okay, what I'm going to do to break the guard is I'm going to lean up, put my weight on my hands, and the knee on my right side is going to make a U motion, and I'm going to come back and park it on the sit bone of my partner's butt. Okay, I'm going to reach my left leg back, make my triangle with my legs so my feet are kind of close together, my knees are wide, and I'm going to sit back and down and twist my hips and also round my back backwards. So I'm trying to open as much space between my hips and my partner's hips. I'm going to do this side on now. Okay, so I go double collar grip, pant grip, elbow inside. rise up, knee to the sit bone, okay? Reach back with my other leg. I sit back and down and twist and around my back to make as much space backwards as possible, okay? A couple important points. I say the sit bone of my partner's butt, so I'm not finding the center, okay? Some reason people tend to want to do that sometimes when they're beginners, and if I park my knee in the center of my partner's butt, then I actually weaken my base a lot to the side where I've moved my knee. So basically, if I put my knee in the center and Mike whips his legs to the outside, like it really, maybe I can recover, but it's quite disruptive. Okay, the best case scenario is like I have to totally reset my guard pass and go again. And frankly, the worst case scenario, if my partner's good, is I'm probably gonna get swept or tapped, okay? So by leaving my knee on the outside, it should essentially line up kind of with where my partner's trap meets his shoulder, okay? By leaving my knee on that side, I still have some base and balance to the outside. But if I put my knee in the middle, I don't, okay? So I need to go knee to the sit bone. So you should think of it, you can think of it as directly almost in the center of one of your partner's butt cheeks, okay? Reach your leg back, sit down and back and twist, round your back, okay? Now occasionally, if you have a particularly tall partner, if you're particularly narrow-waisted, or some combination thereof, you might have difficulty opening their guard with just one movement. Okay, so if I might find that, like I might get here, go to the first one, so knee to the hip, or knee to the hip sit bone, I sit down and back and I twist, and I get kind of to the end of the line of the movement, and my partner's guard is still closed, okay? So if that's the case, I keep my left hand grip, and my right hand is gonna mirror the left hand grip. So I grab the pants, and I bring my elbow inside. I'm gonna rise up slightly to unweight my right leg, and I take it back, and now I square up. I turn back to the center to open the guard, okay? So basically, if you have a long-legged partner or if you're really skinny, I have to do this movement twice, okay? Once to the one side, and then the second time, I go back to the other side, and that should bring me back to the center. Okay, you can't do it to the same side twice in a row. And one important thing, I can't move my second leg. So I go through it, I do the technique, and get to the end. Okay, sometimes a common mistake is people do this. They bring this leg in, okay, and then go to the other side. But I haven't made new space. I just brought myself back to the center and did the same move to the outside. So I need to do it once, and then I need to do it the second time. It has to go not from where I started, but I have to do it from where I finished. So 2 collars, pants, elbow inside, rise up, knee to the sit bone, reach back, sit down and back and twist. I got to the end, I'm not done. Okay, I mirror my first grip, elbow inside, the left knee has to stay where it is. I come up a little bit, my right knee goes back, sit down and back, and twist to the center. Now this is gonna be a little more distant, and so like I have to be ready to start bringing my knees inside. I have to contend with the fact that my partner has more space to start putting me in a hook. I guess I wanna finish with a brief discussion of seated versus standing guard passing, okay? In general, I believe that, or seated guard break versus standing guard break, I generally believe that it's better to stand up to break the guard. Breaking the guard standing means I stand up. Once I'm standing, Mike has to hang all the weight of his body on his feet, okay? And so I get quite a bit of help from gravity when I go to break my partner's guard. When I go to break the guard from a seated position, Mike has to, like hold up basically the weight of his legs, which his legs are more than capable of doing, okay? And so Mike is quite a bit stronger in this position. The advantage of a seated guard break is stability, okay? By having like basically both knees and both feet on the ground, I'm like a lot more stable, and it's much more difficult for Mike to get under my base than when I'm standing, okay? But the price I pay is I'm less powerful, right? I don't have, gravity dragging Mike down on my side, and so basically I can only open his guard with this sort of like scooting backward motion. And if your partner has good hips, you'll find it can be very difficult to move in such a way that they can't follow you, okay? So I teach this first because it's much lower risk, okay? And so you can try it, and it has like, I guess a lower chance of failing catastrophically on you. Whereas if you're standing, the standing guard break for sure is stronger, but I've just opened up a ton of space under myself, and if I'm not careful, yeah, my partner can do all sorts of stuff. Yeah, omoplatas, they're all many more attacks and much more chance that my partner gets under my base and can upset me, sweep me, something like that. Okay? So basically the trade-off we're making here is stability versus